Alright, folks, so today we're going to talk about 4 things that Carnival does right and 4 things that Carnival does wrong. Coming up next. Well, howdy there, Balanced Escapes family. It's Uncle Randy once again. Today I'm going to talk about Carnival Cruise Lines and 4 things that they get wrong and 4 things that they get right. So let's get the bad news out of the way, which is the 4 things that they get wrong. Number 1, the cabin. To get more people on the ship, the cabins are smaller. For those of you who have sailed on Carnival before, you have nightstands on either side of the bed. Now the nightstands are gone. There's no room for them because the room is that much smaller in width. Whether the length is different, I could not tell. But the width is smaller because they can't get the nightstands on the sides. In order to get into bed, you have 2 options. 1, turn sideways and scooch between the bed and the wall and crawl on the bed. The other option is what I did. Just start at the end of the bed, crawl your way up to the front, lay down, go to sleep, get up in the morning, scoot your butt across the bottom, and get out of bed. The other thing, and the cabin is so small that I actually got a headache. I got a headache. I started feeling nauseous. And whenever I was telling somebody about it, they're like, that's a sign of claustrophobia. I was like, well, I'm not claustrophobic. I've never had that feeling in my life. But I did for the first half of the cruise on this ship. So yeah, the cabins are definitely a wrong. Okay. Another thing that Carnival gets wrong, and anybody who's sailed on Carnival knows this for a fact. I don't know why they won't fix it. I didn't understand that it was wrong until I went on Princess. Princess does it right. Embarkation. 2 and 3 of their go hand in hand together because embarkation is a nightmare. And I don't care where you go. It's a line. In Long Beach, you have to stand under your sign for your time. If you're 12:30, you stand under the 12:30, 1:30 sign, and you stay there until they come and get you. When we was in Long Beach doing the western side of Mexico, it rained. But it didn't matter. We were all standing out there getting wet just to go inside the air-conditioned building, praying to God we didn't catch death of pneumonia. Carnival don't care. They want you under your sign until your assigned time. Doesn't work. Even in Galveston, it doesn't work. It's just a long queue. A long queue. They have the on-time queue, and then they have the early-late queue. If you're early or if you're late, it doesn't matter. You're in the same queue. If you got 12:30 and you arrive at 12:30, you go in the on-time line. If you're 1 o'clock, you arrive at 12:30, you go in the early-late line. And 1 o'clock will come and pass, and you'll still be in the early-late line because you don't move over. Just the people who showed up exactly at 1 o'clock go into the on-time line. So you have this big old huge line with 1,000 people in it just snaking. And you stand there forever. You just slowly move forward until you finally get to security. It's a mess. It really is. Disembarkation, they do it wrong. I don't know. I think the reason why disembarkation on Princess goes so smooth is because I think they let out of 2 or 3 different doors at one time. They're not letting the whole ship out of one door, which that's what Carnival does. Everybody goes out one door, and these new ships are 4,000 some odd people, and we're all trying to get out of one door. Their system, if you hear why they disembark the way they do, you think, oh, this is going to work out good, because they don't disembark one single deck at a time. They disembark by codes but it's different areas of the ship. So you would think that since different areas are coming off at different times, that it would flow better, but it doesn't. You end up in a bottleneck. You end up snaking through venues, saying goodbye to the bartenders and stuff. It's a mess. It really is a mess. And the other thing that Carnival gets wrong is the way they do the comedians on the Jubilee. And this is just specific for the Jubilee. What I'm stating is they have 2 comedians at the same time, which is awesome. That's not the complaint. Okay, that's awesome. You have 2 comedians at 7 o'clock, one in the Comedy Lounge, one in the Limelight Lounge. You have to choose. Because you can't be in 2 places at one time, so you have to choose. That's not the problem either. The problem is they're in little venues that hold 50 people, 60 people. I don't know how many they hold, but it's not enough. You still have to arrive an hour and a half, sit on the floor and wait if you want to guarantee yourself a seat. So, that's where Carnival does that wrong. What they could do, and this is what they did on, I do believe it was the Breeze we were on. The comedy show was so popular, and the comedy host got so many complaints that people wanted to see the comedians but couldn't get in to see the comedians, that they actually moved it to the show lounge. They actually put it in the program. They made announcements over the loudspeaker that the comedy shows would be moved to the show lounge due to complaints from the guests. And they, like the last 2 or 3 nights of the cruise, the comedy shows were actually held in the show lounge, so everybody would get a chance to see them, that was awesome. That was awesome. Everybody got a seat. The comedians really felt like stars because they were moved out of that little bitty show lounge, out of the little comedy club, into the main show lounge. And that's where Carnival could get right. Even if they did both comedians at the same time, one at 7, one at 7:30, but doing the show lounge so everybody can get a seat, everybody can see them, and you wouldn't have to pick between the 2. You can see both of them. Because I think most of the comedians I have seen have been awesome, completely awesome. Now, the 4 things that Carnival does right, okay? I don't want you to think this is a complaint video, because it's not. It's equal, okay? One thing Carnival gets right, and I was wrong about this when they first came out with Shaq's Big Chicken. When they first came out with Shaq's Big Chicken, I said, oh, good. Carnival is cheapening down their cruise line with fast food, and that's how I felt. That's how I felt with the whole thing. I can go to Popeyes and get a chicken. You go to any restaurant and get a chicken sandwich. But let me tell you, if you haven't tried Shaq's Big Chicken, it's amazing. It really is. The fries. A lot of times I would just go by and just get some fries. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, I want a snack. And Street Eats wasn't open yet, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But I would go through and sometimes just get some tenders, sit down, and have myself a snack. They are delicious. It ranks right up there with Guy's Burgers. And I know that Guy's Burgers is just a favorite on Carnival. People love Guy's Burgers. I love Guy's Burgers. Actually, when me and my wife was planning our Hawaii cruise, I was like, we got to take that on Carnival. She said, why? I said, 5 days at sea. I said, if there's nothing else to eat, you got Guy's Burgers. That was my whole theory behind why we had to take a long cruise on Carnival for Guy's Burgers. And now you got Shaq's Big Chicken, and in my opinion, it's just as good. Just if you just want a snack, it's just as good. Another thing that Carnival does right is the Street Eats. The Street Eats. If you have not been on one of the newer ships, Street Eats is like a mall food court. It's like 4 little vendors, and the menu changes every day. So it's not like the same thing over and over and over again. You'll never see the same thing twice. So if you see something you want to try, you better try it, because it's not going to come back around again. Unless you're on a back-to-back, then it'll come around again. But they're really good, okay? I don't eat pork, so I didn't try everything. I only tried the beef and the chicken stuff. I did try Indian. One of the stalls is Indian. I did try Indian. It was okay. I survived. It's the first time I ever tried Indian, which that's the great thing about the cruises. As you all know, you try stuff you've never tried before, stuff you would never order in a restaurant. And if you like it, great. If you don't, well, it's already paid for. Try it, enjoy it. But the street eats is a very, very good concept. I don't remember if it was, I think it might have been during lunch. It might have been in between the lunch dinner period, but it is very good. There's just little bitty bowls of food. You have to eat you have to go probably 3 of the restaurants just to get a meal. But they very, very good. It's 4 different restaurants. Very, very good food. I really, really enjoyed Streeties. Another thing Carnival gets right on and this is specifically the Carnival Jubilee, the casino. On all Carnival ships from as far back, I've been cruising since 2001, and every Carnival ship you've always had to go through the Smoky Casino to get to the show lounge. Not anymore. Not on the Jubilee. It's off to the side. It's beside the atrium, and it's glassed in, so it keeps all the smoke inside, which is awesome. It doesn't hamper the rest of the ship. You don't have to walk through a smoky casino. You don't, and for me, for somebody who has survived throat cancer, not having to walk through a smoky casino is awesome. Okay, I don't know if it would have any effect on me or not, but just the thought of it just freaks me out. Having to walk, just smelling secondhand smoke just freaks me out because I don't want it to come back. I survived it. I moved on 3 years now. So, and I don't want to go back and they say, well, yeah, it's back. You should have went through that smoky casino, So I try to stay away from cigarette smoke. And that glass-in casino really, really was just a bomb for me. I loved it. The atrium is different. It sits sideways now. It sits sideways. It has LED screens. In the daytime, it's windows. At nighttime, it's LED screens. I've seen a lot of complaints on the internet that there wasn't not enough seating. I did not see that problem. But when I was on the Jubilee, I was only on the 4th sailing, which is going to get to my very last point of what Carnival does, right? But I was only on the 4th sailing. The ship was not in full effect yet, so I don't know if it's different. Like the Cirque du Soleil show was not in operation. There was still a lot of construction at night, getting things like they were setting up the Cirque du Soleil show. They were doing a little bit of practicing at night, getting ready to do the show when it was ready. We did not get a seat. It was not ready. They were still putting the ship together when we was on it. So at night, when you would leave the show lounge, if you were at the last seating, when you would leave the show lounge past the atrium to get to your room or go get pizza, which is another thing Carnival does, right? And everybody who's been on Carnival knows there's nothing better than a Quattro. But they was putting the ship together. So the ship was not in full effect. So, but what there was, the Deal or No Deal, what shows there was, what games there was on that stage, there was still plenty of seating. Not maybe down below, but up in the riser area, there was plenty of seating, which is up in the casino area. So that was really nice. I did think that was really cool. I do miss the classic atrium, I'm not gonna lie, but I think that Carnival did that as they were thinking about in design ideas of how to keep the flow going, because I think it does bottleneck people trying to walk through the chairs and stuff, but I think it was more of an idea of how to keep the flow going through the ship. I could be wrong. But yeah, that is a very, very, very nice touch. And the last thing that I want to say that Carnival got right, and we got to enjoy this because we were on one of the first sailings, and I was told that they were going to keep it going for a little bit. They probably stopped it by now, but what they was doing is they were letting us have the specialty dinings for free. And I will tell you that the ones I did eat, like I've always been a person of, why would you pay extra for food when you've already paid for a cruise that includes food? Okay, but we got to eat Guy's Pig and Anchor, we got to eat Shebang, we got to eat the Italian restaurant, which I do not remember the name of, but I will tell you that normally Guy's Pig and Anchor at dinner is a surcharge. And I can tell you that it's worth it. Okay. We got to eat it for free, but I would have happily paid for it. I really would have. Shebang is a specialty restaurant. There was one restaurant, I don't know if it was Shebang or what, but there was one restaurant. They had the same meal on the menu in the specialty restaurant as we had the night before in the main dining room. And I told my wife, I said, you know what? I said, just for S&G, I'm going to order this same meal and see if it tastes like what we had in the main dining room. When I got that meal, it was some kind of steak. But I remembered what it tasted like the night before. And when we got that meal in the specialty dining, and I cut off a piece, put it in my mouth, my eyes rolled back in the back of my head, and I said, oh my God. There was that much difference. It was like day and night. The complete difference. If y'all have not ate specialty dining before, I say try it. Just try it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in it. Not saying I would do it every cruise, not saying I would trade in my main dining room experience for it, but I do understand now, because the difference between the same two meals, one main dining room, one specialty dining, was just completely just different. It really was. So that is the things, 4 things Carnival gets wrong, 4 things that Carnival gets right. So if you like this video and you found the information helpful, please like it. Okay, I just checked before I made this video, I am up to 40 subscribers. Yay! No, it really does make me happy. I mean, it's a thrill. I'm trying to get to 50. Okay, I'm trying to get to 50. I'm not going to stop at 50, so don't be like, he was just trying to get to 50, now he wants 75. What gives? No, I'm not going to stop, but I do want 50. 50 would just make my day. Okay, I'm up to 40. Every time I see that number increase, it does make me excited. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on, so every time I post, you'll see new content. I have a lot more coming on. I'm going to do one on Princess, what they do right, what they do wrong. I'm going to do videos on the Plus package. I'm going to do videos on the Premier package. I'm going to, it's just mind-blowing the stuff that I'm going to do. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, so you'll know every time I post. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and have a blessed day.